I've been using this Unit 1 Aura helmet for the last few weeks. I've never felt so seen. Built-in lights on the front and back so you are always visible. Turn signal options as well as brake light options. Crash alert, tons of big vents, MIPS safety, and you can fit your U-log in here, and that's one less thing for you to carry. I have reviewed the Unit 1 Faro helmet in the past. When I saw this helmet and I saw that they had a visor, I really wanted it because of all those bugs hitting my face and getting into my eyes. Unit 1 did send this to me for review. I'm not getting paid for the review and they have no say whatsoever. In my opinion, they took the best things out of the Faro and then they dropped it into a more lightweight, sleeker helmet. And I like this more than the Faro. It is not for the road warrior that's shaving off every single gram. It's not that heavy actually, but that's not really the purpose of this helmet. It is more for the sleek urban commuter that wants something lightweight, visible. Personally, I find it's a good looking helmet and I've gotten a lot of compliments on it, but you be the judge. Now, a lot of people might say this is very expensive for a helmet, but you have to think about this in the context that this is a safety device for your brain and your head. If you're gonna spend money on something, that's where you should be spending it on. If you do decide to purchase this, especially if this review helped you, give me a little bit of a kickback at no extra cost to you. It's an easy way to support the channel so I can keep doing this. Thank you in advance. Another, perhaps cheaper helmet, and you still get a lot of safety. And probably yes. Will they have all the bells and whistles of this one? Probably no. Do you need all of that? Also something to consider. If you look at other products in its category, mainly its competitor like Lumos, it is priced very similarly with very similar features. So at the end of the day, between those two, it'll come down to, I guess, preference. It does come in a few colors. This is the Orca, half white, half black. There's a good amount of vents. There's also a good amount of padding. And removing the padding to make things more comfortable actually could help if you are in between sizes and the fits may be a bit too tight, or to wash them. It also is IPX6, which means that it's good against heavy rain, if ever you get caught in a rainstorm. There's also Fidlock, which at this point is a must on every single one of my bike helmets. Every bike helmet I've had so far has Fidlock, which I can't even deal with a regular buckle anymore in a bike helmet because I'm so used to not even looking at it and everything just connecting and just one hand being able to move my buckle. And I can tell you that in every single one of my helmets that had Fidlock, magnetic buckle, not one time has it ever come apart. Lots of safety certifications, including e-bike. There's also MIPS on this helmet. And for once, it's actually not this bright yellow, which it tends to be. There's just a little piece in here that moves. And that means that when you crash, especially like more of a rotational force, the helmet will absorb that shock instead of your head. So it will help protect your brain and your head just a little bit more. They're always nice to have. But it does come with the magnetic brim included, which you could remove and pop on. I love the magnet edition. So this helps against when the sun's really at its height. This helps quite a bit to block that out. And you can also remove it if you don't want it. There's also an add-on that is a magnetic visor, which is great because you can actually stick it on the top here when you're not using it. And then when you use it, you stick it to the bottom. It works with the magnetic brim because there's magnets along the bottom with the magnetic brim, but you can also use it directly on the helmet as well. They have different visor options. They have one that's just shaded, one that's clear, and then one that does both transitional lens, which is what I have. For my peripheral vision, I do see a little bit of this gap, but I do also have a small head, so maybe, you know, where my eyes are set in my face, and it might not be an issue for you, or you may not even care. So it is really wide and it covers a large portion of your face, but surprisingly, when that still came in, it didn't necessarily cover more than my sunglasses. Sunglasses are going to sit closer to your face versus a visor where there's a lot more space. Obviously, this will depend on head, face shape, how you're riding. There's a lot of little bugs at night, especially by the water, and those just get in my eyes, and it's obviously very disruptive when I'm biking. I think this is where you can save some money and get the clear visor. You could just stick with your sunglasses during the day and then have this at night, and then you can always just leave it here so it's ready to go. That being said, I do love my transitional lenses, and so if you can't afford them, I don't think you'll regret it. I love that I can just pop them on regardless of the weather. If the sun is setting, I'm covered. And because it's so easy to pop on and off without looking, I'm constantly removing them when I'm in stores and then popping them back on when I'm outside. And even if I forget to put them on while biking, it's not a problem. And can you wear the visor with glasses? And the answer is yes. So I have these giant aviator glasses that are oversized, and even with those, I'm able to put the visor on. There is another add-on that you can get, which is a bug net. There have been occasions where I've biked and there were a lot of bugs. and they ended up getting caught in me and my friend's hair, which was really a very not fun experience. If you are biking somewhere with a lot of bugs, that it could be a good option to look into. For most people, you're probably fine without it. Please do like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, and it helps me to keep doing what I'm doing and to review cycling gear, bag reviews, coffee gear, and everyday essentials that just improve life with good design. Not all heads are easily made equal, so you would need to know your size shape. They give you an indication on the website. I am a 55 centimeter oval head shape, right in the middle of the two sizes, and so I was struggling between the small and medium. So this might help you if you are in between those sizes. I know exactly the width and the length of my head dimensions because I have a custom-made fedora. This fits my head very perfectly exactly. There is a little bit of pressure on the size here. I could remove the paddings or adjust the paddings if I wanted to, but I'm fine. Simple straps like this, a little bit of strap management, this little rubber elastic. There's a turn dial in the back to adjust it tighter or looser. Even though I'm 55 centimeters, there is still some loose front and back if I don't tighten the dial. You can also adjust this buckle and adjust these two different straps so that it can move around more freely, and you can adjust it based on how your face shape is and where you want the straps to sit. When you turn on the helmet, there's the power button back here. You get right away a battery indicator, which I love. That is a feature that they had in their previous helmet, and it is so useful to have. The power button was a little bit stiff and difficult to press, but they told me that they have fixed that actually in some revised version. So that may not be an issue. Something else that's really cool, I can long press this button to turn off the helmet. You'll also get the battery indicator there, and I can turn it on by long pressing the remote as well. See, it doesn't always, it's working. Very useful because most of the time when I'm about to bike, I put this on my head right away. And then by the time I get to my bike, I don't want to remove it and turn it back on. So I long press this and then it's on. And just to make sure it's on, I'll just put my hand like this and see if it's lit up, and I'll know it's on. If you're gonna get this helmet, you're gonna want the app. That's where you unlock everything. What's really cool is the app will show you a more precise time frame of your battery, and this remote that lasts a long time. See live previews on the app of what that will look like, of the front and the back. You actually don't even see it here until you upload the presets. Performance, which is just solid light, and I would just upload it, and now it's solid on the front and back. But I made my own preset where it was just medium intensity to save on battery and a little bit of a strobe effect. So many different effects to go through. You can save some of your favorite. The app is very clean, the interface, but there are just some icons that I found were a little confusing. Once you figure it out, it's fine. The editing button is this eye. You can go into detail and you can really choose all of the different features, the intensity, and you can see the duration, how it'll affect your battery. You can also just deactivate the lights completely. Look at my remote pairing, and this is where you have the brake lights. You can completely stop those brake lights. The brake lights right now are active because it's showing me a preview of what it will be. This would be the strobe one, which I don't love. And you have also different options for your left and right navigation, which is really cool. The blinker, a classic car blinker, full sweep, half sweep. I personally like blinker, half sweep. Blinker is less interesting, I find, to look at, but I feel is the clearest when it comes to cars. And the turn signals is mainly going to be for cars that you're doing this for. When you're sharing the road with a car, the car is the most dangerous thing, and that's probably what's going to get you killed. When you look at statistics, cyclists get killed more with cars and at night. The signaling lights and the fact that there's bright lights, it's going to make you more visible on the road when you're sharing with cars, so it's definitely a big safety plus. And their box says active safety for riders, and I think that this is the best description of this helmet because of the lights and the turn signals. It adds a more proactive layer to just protecting your brain in a crash. And it also does have that crash alert should that happen. So it helps prevent it in the first place with more visibility. I don't want to say it's going to help save your life, but I think it could help save your life, to be honest. These lights, it's more for visibility. It's not to actually see the road. Like if you're really stuck in a dark place, you can see the road a little bit, but it's not facing down. So you would have to tilt your helmet down. If you want lights to actually see the road, I have other recommendations I will link in the description. It is 360 visibility because you're being visible from the front, from the side, with the lights being here. That's by design, and on the back. So no matter where you're looking, you will be seen. Other features that are on the app, rain monitoring. This works with your internal weather app that comes on all iOS and Android devices, and it will affect the lighting based on the weather conditions. How much of a difference that is, I don't know. I usually have the helmet on my head. I just leave it on by default because why not? If it helps and it makes things, let's say, brighter when it's more rainy, it'll just help me be more visible. The daylight on is actually an ambient sensor. There's an ambient sensor on boards. It will detect if there's a lot of bright light, it will turn off the lights. A little red light at the back that indicated that it was in fact on, but just kind of on standby mode. I could have another preset that would be just for daytime lights, but then I would be constantly having to go into the app to use my helmet, and I personally don't want to do that. So it takes up to 3 hours to fully charge the battery. It comes with a USB-C cable. The battery charges in the back right here. I believe it's fast charge too. It's a 1200 milliamp hour battery capacity. Now another add-on is the remote, which gives you turn signals, brake lights. You don't need the remote, but I would say if you're already spending the money on this helmet, you're probably going to want the extra add-ons and benefits. And this does add the turn signals, which I think is very valuable, especially at night. First of all, most drivers, and I would dare even to say cyclists, don't know the signals that well. Turn lane left, turning right, I remember is reaching, and then stop. The most I'll see is people going left and then literally taking their right hand to signal to the right. And you want it on the left because if you're in North America anyway, you are biking and you'll be on the right of the car. So they are able to see. Technically, you're supposed to know this because I think it's like part of the driving school driver's license test. I think that this is a very good, almost must-have feature. You don't have to move your hands too far from the handlebar, so you can still have good control when biking, which is especially important if your roads are not that great and there are potholes. The second one is the brake light. Now you can change the intensity of the brake light so that it's less or more responsive. I have struggled with the brake lights. They are sending me a new remote. See, it does technically work because there's an accelerometer in here. But in real life use, on 3 different occasions that I've tried to test this and film it, I have not gotten it to trigger one single time. And I had it on high intensity and I was doing sudden braking. I tried decelerating as well. None of it was working. I will update my review in the description. Please look at that if I get the new remote and I can validate that it was in fact just a defect in my case. This remote that I have is a version 2. I had a version 1 remote paired with the Faro helmet. It only worked with really exaggerated sudden braking. I have a friend with the Lumos helmet and he has the remote, but he doesn't know if the brake signals work well because he can't see it. I think any braking system that works with an accelerometer versus being connected hardwired into your device, knowing when you actually brake, is going to have to make some sort of guess. Too many variables to ever be perfectly exact anyway. I wouldn't rely on this very strongly, but it is a feature that exists and it does work theoretically sometimes. You can pair up to 3 devices onto one remote. They have standalone lights that you can get. Then you have one remote to control all of them if you wanted other lights. So overall, I really like this helmet. When I bike, I can hear little bugs flicking along my visor and not in my eyeball. So it's doing what it has to do. The remote, the turn signals are great. The braking, in my case, not so great. It's got good safety features. It's a great helmet. If you have the budget for it and you're looking for a good helmet, this is something to consider. If you want a more simple bike helmet, you don't need all the bells and whistles, you can check out this review. And if you're looking for other bike products and accessories, you can check out this review. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.